Hi, everybody. Sean Walbin with SecureCyber, and Happy New Year. Welcome back to the studio. This is the first live stream of 2026, and there's quite a bit going on in the news. So that's what we're going to get to today. First of all, some housekeeping. We primarily do these live streams in order to answer questions live. So this is an opportunity to ask questions. If there's something that went on that I didn't cover that you're interested in, excuse me, this is an opportunity to interact in the live chat. We're going to cover things like AI today. There's some AI stuff in the news. I know over the holidays, I did a lot of AI research and just, stuff with ChatGPT and prompts and, kind of where the cybersecurity industry is going. So I'm interested in some feedback there. And, from a security perspective, nothing quite unusual happening from a security perspective. There's some vulnerabilities out there. There's some patching that needs to be done. So that's kind of the show today. It might be a short one depending on the interaction, but we're going to stay live to answer your questions because that's the main point. First and foremost, if you find value out of this live stream, whether you're watching it live or you're looking at it recorded, please click like, subscribe, share this channel with others. We do post a lot of content here. I got back from Israel probably about 4 weeks ago, and I'm actually going back in the next couple of weeks to do another conference and speak. So I'm happy to talk more about that as well. So anyway, we can jump right into the news. And the first article involves Microsoft enforcing MFA for Microsoft 365 Admin Center sign-ins. Really, honestly, it's about time for some of this stuff. CISA has had for a long time the Secure by Design campaign out there, trying to encourage SaaS vendors, cloud vendors, hardware manufacturers to create devices that are secure by design, meaning that when you open them and you start using them, they have all the security features enabled. Everything's checked. Everything's there. And so finally, Microsoft has announced, I can read the article for you. Mike, if you want to pull up my screen too, you can if you want. Microsoft will start enforcing, it's plugged in, multi-factor authentication, MFA for all users accessing the Microsoft 365 Admin Center starting next month. So while MFA requirements for the Admin Center began rolling out in February of 2025, Microsoft will now enforce this for all users and block those without MFA enabled. There's a lot to the Microsoft 365 platform. There's a lot from a security perspective. There's a lot with Google Workspace. And I think it's important to talk about the fact that it's shared responsibility. And you may not be aware of that. I think a lot of people, have you gone to the cloud, or do you know people that have gone to the cloud to just escape risk? Meaning that I moved from my on-prem Exchange server for email and I moved to Office 365 because I didn't want to manage security any longer. Do you realize that you still have to manage security in the cloud? So this all has to do with best practices, following Microsoft guidance, and knowing how to operate these platforms and systems. So just the fact that you paid somebody to move your email up to a Microsoft 365 tenant, if you have not thrown all the switches and done all the things to make that environment secure, all you did was just move the risk from one end to the other. So that still exists. So make sure that you're aware of what it actually takes to secure the Microsoft 365 platform. There's all kinds of alerting and things that you need to set up. There's all kinds of, for example, there's a screen inside Microsoft 365 Admin Center that allows you to look at logins, look for suspicious logins. There's email and text alerts and things that you can set up that if something is nefariously happening inside your tenant, you get notified. But it's about time. And honestly, I don't think you should be able to operate as a user. I don't think you should be able to issue a mailbox without multi-factor authentication being enabled. And I think there should be serious consequences or alerts or something that's set up that once somebody is set up, if their enrollment becomes invalid or they disenroll themselves, that should be looked at as well. So all of these links will be in the show notes. So the rest of it, there's some AI news out there. One of the articles is OpenAI says ChatGPT won't use your health information to train its models. So apparently there's a ChatGPT for health that's coming. It's been rolled out to some users now. And it's an opportunity for if you're going to discuss healthcare related items, there's a separate area that ChatGPT is creating in order for you to have healthcare discussions. And they say that they are not going to use any healthcare information or data that you send it or tell it to train other models. There's a whole discussion series out there about, just the safety of AI, the guardrails, where should some of the guardrails be? There's just a lot of education that has to happen here. People need to spend time with users. You need to talk to them. Well, and honestly, as administrators, right? If you're out there today and you administer an IT department or you're responsible for users, educating them on these topics is highly advisable. So there's a lot of OpenAI stuff going on right now. There's several articles in this queue right now that I'm looking at that involve OpenAI. One is the ChatGPT for health. One involves that ChatGPT is thinking about rolling out ads, and they're really trying to, they're going to roll that out, I guess, internally first and let their internal employees see what ads look like inside ChatGPT. But there's also an article that's in here that says that ChatGPT is losing market share. Let me pull that article up, Micah. Are you able to make it full screen, or does it only show up? So let me pull up that article because there's a chart. Okay. Gains ground. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, you can pull it up. There's a chart right here. So this is from Bleeping Computer. We're not affiliated with them. Yeah, there you go. So it says 12 months ago, so a year from now, or a year back, 12 months ago, ChatGPT had 86.7% of the market and Gemini had 5.7%. Now, if you go to January 2026, so at the very bottom here, you can see that ChatGPT lost some market share, considerable market share, and Gemini gained it. Now, well, this DeepSeek stuff's interesting. So that's flat up Chinese stuff. So I don't know nobody should be using DeepSeek. If you're using DeepSeek, stop doing that. This is very interesting. I think what you'll see, and they're listing some of the major ones here, right? ChatGPT, Gemini, again, DeepSeek, no bueno. Grok, Perplexity, Claude, and Copilot. That pretty much covers it. I think you're going to see these numbers fluctuate all over the place. I think just because, just because ChatGPT lost 20% now, and Gemini gained it, I honestly think that you will constantly see that going back and forth. It's kind of the arms race of AI right now. I think you'll find that, ChatGPT may see that and they're going to make investments. They're going to tune their model. Guys, we've got data centers. We've got AI data centers going up like they're Dunkin' Donuts in Boston. There's like a data center on the corner of every block in every community now. And the citizens are really getting irritated about that too. Some of them are really fighting that, which they should if they need to. Yeah, you can take that off. But I really don't. I really think it's just gonna, those percentages and all that competition inside all those different AI systems, I think is going to constantly change. It's going to be like trading oil during the day, right? So if you watch those all in real time, and some of that doesn't cover mobile. So there's mobile AI and there's desktop AI. So there's a lot to that. But on the topic of AI, I spent a lot of time over the holidays just kind of immersing myself in all kinds of people out there on YouTube that talk about prompts and how to use AI and how to get the most effective use out of it. First of all, there's some talk out there that AI is just a bubble, right? And I'm sure there was some discussion back in the day that the internet was just a bubble too, right? And it could burst at any time. I don't know. I don't know where AI is in the bubble race. I'm not that deep of a technologist to be able to forecast something like that, right? But I do believe that it's here now. So, and with so many organizations running to AI and offering AI solutions, I am definitely in the camp that you need to learn everything there is to know about these technologies, and you need to educate yourself. So, in order to help organizations understand where the risk is, how to use it, you've got to also understand what its capabilities are. So I spent a lot of time inside. ChatGPT is the one that I spend the most time with. I do have access to Gemini. Grok is available, right? You can see that through X. I've done a little bit of Perplexity. I really haven't gone into Claude that much. I've done some Copilot. I will never do DeepSeek, and neither should you. So I'm interested in your comments. I'm interested in, how are you using AI today? What questions do you have? What are your challenges? I'm also interested in people that watch this show and understanding, who are you? It's not very easy operating a technology channel on YouTube to understand, are you a home user and you're just kind of listening to me to get insights in technology? Are you a business? Do you manage a network? I don't know. It would be interesting to find out in a little bit more detail who the actual listening base is, but I don't know how to get that. Do you know how to get that, Producer Micah?
Could make a poll.
Yeah, that's true. We could make a poll. Well, we won't do that today. Okay, let's go through just some of the other news here. So there's an interesting plan. UK announces plan to strengthen public sector cyber defense. Just definition-wise, public sector in the United States is a lot of local government. So cities, counties, state government, schools, libraries, all those types of NGOs. Basically, if you're audited in Ohio, if you're audited by the state of Ohio auditor, you're considered a public entity. So the UK has announced a new cybersecurity strategy backed by more than £210 million or $283 million in US to boost cyber defense across government departments and the wider public sector. Local government is something that we serve very heavily here at SecureCyber, which is the commercial entity here that you're watching. In the United States, local government is considered the soft underbelly. There's a lot going on in local government from a protection perspective. Number one, the state of Ohio, passed a bill recently, House Bill 96, that requires all public entities in the next 6 months. Well, some of them went into effect January 1st. If you're a state, or I'm sorry, if you're a city or a county, that went into effect January 1st. And everybody else has got until I think June or July in order to comply. But in the UK, the new measures are part of the government cyber action plan that establishes a dedicated government cyber unit to coordinate risk management and incident response. So to continue my thought in Ohio, House Bill 96 mandates that all local governments in Ohio choose a compliance package. Either they're going to go NIST cybersecurity framework or they're going to go CIS top 18. And so there's a lot going on there. I think there's a lot of talk in all states about how to protect local government. But this is just an example of how the UK is doing it. So if I read on here, they're aiming to make online public services more secure for citizens accessing benefits, healthcare, and tax systems. While I do not disagree with local governments definitely boosting up their security and protecting themselves, we've done a lot of incident response to local governments over the last year. I think one of the most one of the most things that needs to be secure the most is, especially in the U.S., is water and wastewater. Water and wastewater is water is important to all humans, right? Because we have to have water to live. We don't necessarily have to have electricity, although there's an argument that the electricity drives a lot of that stuff that makes the water, so therefore it's required. But we do need water. And in the United States, there really is no updated cybersecurity standards for water, which is insane, right? For power, there's NERC-CIP, and there's a lot of regulations around NERC-CIP, and it's published and it's enforced, and people pay attention to it. So we unfortunately do not have that same effort and oversight on the water wastewater side. I believe that there needs to be some oversight of who touches critical infrastructure. We are a very experienced, certified organization that looks and gets into this equipment. We do industrial controls and SCADA systems, and that's not an easy sector. That's very complex. It's a very complex operation. It's very sensitive. So I don't know. I think there's a lot. The UK is making some movement here, trying to move some things around to encourage local governments to be more secure. I think all of the things that we see in the state of Ohio are very admirable in getting local governments to security. I think House Bill 96 has been an effective wake-up call for organizations in Ohio. So if you're a local government and you're in Ohio, or you have questions, I'd be really interested in, what you see, what you don't see, what you understand the compliance piece to be, what you need help with. Those are all things that that I'm interested in. So anyway, there is the article out there on what the UK is doing, and so that's that. And then I think the last article that we have is. And Micah, you can put this up just so people can see the headline here. Taiwan says China's attacks on its energy sector increased tenfold. The reason I bring this up, there's a chart here too. The reason I bring this up is I don't want people to forget about what's happening with the whole China and Taiwan thing. So all throughout the last couple years, there's been a lot of stuff that we've talked about with Salt Typhoon, Volt Typhoon. And if you don't understand what's going on in China right now with Taiwan, is basically the Chinese have spent the Chinese Communist Party and associated hacker groups like Salt Typhoon, Volt Typhoon, and those associated has spent a tremendous amount of time attacking our critical infrastructure and critical systems here in the U.S. And they've essentially planted detonation devices or bombs, digital bombs, inside some of these critical systems, and they have not triggered them. However, when China invades Taiwan and the U.S. intercedes and gets involved, they have vowed to turn all those detonating devices on and terminate and cause damage inside our critical infrastructure. So I just want you to see this graph because energy attacks in Taiwan have increased over 1,000%. They've got there's tons of you've already taken it off. There's tons of drills that are going on right now where China is actively looking at attacking Taiwan. And I just want you to be aware of that. I want you to be aware of it because I want you to be prepared. I've talked about it on this channel before. This is not a conspiracy theory in any way. The Chinese government has published their plan in writing on what they're going to do, attacking Taiwan, and then how to deal with people that attack them. And you can look that up. It's China 25 and China 49. There's an FBI video out there called Made in Beijing that very clearly explains what's happening and what's going on. So, the thing I talk about on this channel often is be prepared. There's a lot of resources out there. This is not doomsday prepping, by the way. This is just basic protection. So whether we're talking about this or we're talking about tornadoes or floods or earthquakes, ready.gov ready.gov is the website that you should be looking at. But you should also be paying attention to this channel in order to just over time continue to receive various nuggets on how to protect yourself, newer technologies that are out there to help you protect yourself if you are a network defender, learning and getting intelligence about what's going on out there. And then, of course, on this channel, giving you the avenue to ask those questions. That's about all I have for today. There hasn't been one question in there. So I appreciate your time. Please, again, like and subscribe this, share it with others. We are generally on the air every week. There are some weeks where I can't. I do a lot of traveling, and I would love to take this show on the road. It's a little more difficult than it seems. But in case... Oh, there is a question there. Business leaders are very concerned with giving employees access to AI chat tools, right? Due to security and IP risk, is your firm giving guidance on how to avoid risk and forming a plan for them to adopt? Yes. So a lot of the work that I've done in Israel is I've been looking at this for years. I've been looking at part of the problem. Before I answer the question, just to preface where this is going, part of the problem is this technology came out and continues to come out at a highly accelerated rate. Therefore, not giving security vendors and researchers the opportunity to properly put... We keep using the word guardrails when we're talking about trying to confine ChatGPT or any AI technology, whatever it is. They haven't had adequate time to create the guardrails. So essentially, this stuff rolled out so fast. And then to your point, Annie, we weren't, people weren't having discussions with people fast enough to get them to understand the dangers of AI technology. Now, fast forward to today, hence your question, I would assume. People are now like, ooh, so I've heard that I probably shouldn't upload a document that has confidential information in it to the to ChatGPT, right? Because there's a possibility that that information could be used by the algorithm. So a couple things. The guidance that we give is first and foremost education. And that's why, when I opened the show, I said that I've been spending a lot of time making sure that I, as an educator, understand how these technologies work, what prompts are, what some of the risks are. We have to spend time educating people on the threats to AI. It is great technology. I use it all day long, and into the night. It's absolutely flat amazing. However, I have also educated myself on what I can and cannot do with this stuff. So there's that part, education, educating organizations. The second part of your question is tools. What's out there? What can we do to facilitate the governance of these technologies? And I guess I'll put a 1.5 in there before I jump to 2. Policy. You need to develop some policy. So after you educate, whether you get this into your acceptable use policies or whatever, you need to address the acceptable use of AI inside your organization. You need to look at attribution. So you need to look at developing a technology or developing a policy possibly that starts dictating if you use AI to generate a policy. At the very top of the policy, it should say AI was used in the course of developing this document, right? That from a tools perspective, to get to actually governing it, the thing that we found the most effective is secure browsing. This is a technology that I've seen. I had seen in Israel about 3 years ago. There was 3 or 4 years ago. There was a company that I saw called Talon. Talon was a company in Israel that had developed its own proprietary browser. And as you might imagine, that didn't take off real well because who wants like a custom browser that's just built for that? People wanted to just continue to use Safari, Chrome, Firefox. They wanted to just use the browsers that are out there, the Chromium browsers that are out there. Because it was just going to be too complicated to manage some other browser. So anyway, I think from a talent, that particular technology, Talon actually ended up being sold to Palo Alto. Actually bought Talon. What they did with it, I'm not sure. They may have come up with. They may have just stripped some of the intellectual property and created their own secure browser. But there are companies out there now, and I looked at some of them when I was out there about 4 weeks ago, and I'm going to look at some more here in a couple of weeks, that's doing extensions and browsers. So if you're familiar with a CASB, Cloud Access Service Broker, or a proxy, that's essentially what they're coming up with. So you basically load an extension into Chrome, and on the back end, administrators put some guardrails around, how that's going to act. So users don't have direct pipeline access into the technology, and there's an ability through it's almost like data loss prevention for a browser. There's some ability for that agent or that extension to monitor what's going on from an AI perspective. Friendly reminder: do not use ChatGPT to write your company's AI. Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, you could. You could use AI to say, give me a sample policy, but that's actually a really good example, right? If I was an IT administrator, a CISO, a CIO, I would definitely be using ChatGPT to help me with framework. Not, to your point, not like actually writing the entire policy and saying, give it to me, but help me with framework, right? Let me, as a human, again, this is the key. The name to this game is human oversight. This is, you've just got to be really careful about using, I'm using ChatGPT like I use the word Kleenex. Everybody says, hand me a Kleenex, and that may not be Kleenex, but we use that term universally, right? Because, maybe that's good for ChatGPT because they were first, but any AI LLM, any large language model, Claude, Perplexity, any of those, just be really careful. Human oversight. Don't upload sensitive information. Get an acceptable use policy. Put some actual policy in there. Train your users. And that really, Andy, that's about what we can do right now. That's about the extent of it. So the thing that I hate the most, honestly, is just that the technology is changing so rapidly. We just can't have development cycles that match that from a security perspective. So companies that are out there today that are experimenting and building these technologies, the secure browsing is certainly something. And if you're out there and you've seen other technologies, please let me know what it is, right? I've traveled to Japan this year. Last year I did Japan, I did Israel. I've been to a lot. Singapore's on my list to get to. The Gulf states, so Dubai is definitely on my list. Because some of these technologies also pop in some of these other countries as well. And I see a fair share of U.S. Conferences as well, right? I just don't just travel internationally. I see them domestically as well. But if you anybody out there runs into a technology that you think is good for guardrails for AI, I would love to see it and look at that technology. That is something that is not talked about a lot, and that we would like to develop content for and talk more about. To help people with these questions in technology. So thank you, Annie, for those questions. Those were really good questions. Well, that's it for today, and I thank you for your time. We will be on the air next week.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. We'll be on the air next week. I know I travel in a couple weeks, so we'll see you then. And hey, let's be careful.